How's it going, guys? In today's music videos, this paper ripper, paper folding animation has become huge. One of the best examples of this would be Lonewolf, who uses it in basically all his music videos. It's kind of how he got his name. So just to give you a better idea, here's a few examples of how Lonewolf uses this paper rip animation.
Live alone, die alone, on my back, it's a V. Ryan sipping, smoke strong, I see what the devil see.
Yeah, so it's actually pretty easy to do, just takes a bit of effort if you want to do it the right way. Today I'm going to show you how you can recreate that, but there's no point to just copying it step by step. You're going to have to kind of just incorporate your own kind of effects to it, because there's no point in just copying him. At the end of the day, you're not going to get anywhere doing that, and it's just going to make his name bigger. Yeah, so to do this, you're going to need these things. You're going to need a scissors, a printer. So your printer's gonna need to be able to scan a fuckload of paper. Right, so once you have all that sorted, it's time to get into your computer and get started. This tutorial is probably gonna take a while, probably a bit longer than usual. The effect that you get out of it is pretty cool, and yeah, it's pretty creative. So with that being said, let's do this. Right, so now that we're in our computer, we're just going to come over and start a new project. So in our composition panel, we're just going to bring in the clip that we want to use, set our sequence. So this clip is filmed in 120 frames per second. I want to slow it down, so I'm going to right click, modify, interpret footage, assume that this frame rate is 23 frames per second. So I'm going to double click it. I'm just going to mark an area that suits, so that's good enough for me. So I'm just going to drag the clip in, and I'm going to keep existing settings. So because I filmed this handheld, I'm just going to apply warp stabiliser onto the clip. This is just going to reduce any motion in the clip, just makes it look a bit smoother. Perfect. So once your clip's been stabilized, you can come back in and you can see that it's nice and smooth. So I'm actually going to just cut the clip there. Perfect. So now we just want to find where we want the rip to take place. So I'm going to choose around here. So once you find your frame, we're just going to come up here to export frame, or you can press Ctrl-Shift-E to import this into our project. So I'm just going to name this building. Perfect. So make sure you keep the frame set there. We're going to get our building JPEG, and we're just going to drag and drop that there. Perfect. I'll just make this a bit bigger so it's easier to see. Right, so now all we have to do is just click it, press Alt, and duplicate that. So we have two pictures of our building. So this is what it should look like. So on the bottom, we're going to click it, we're going to right click, and we're going to edit in Adobe Photoshop. Perfect. Photoshop has just opened up with our picture. So we're just going to click this little lock button, and we're going to come over here to our stamp tool. So clean stamp tool, or you can just press S for the stamp tool. Perfect. Press Alt beside where we want the color to look. So I want this building to be gone, so I'm going to just replace it with the sky. So I'm going to press Alt and click, and now I can just come along and slowly remove the edges. So just keep pressing Alt on the area. So I'll come back when I have this fully done. We're back now, and I've removed the building from the image. So you don't have to be too crucial. Once it kind of looks decent enough, you'll get away with it. A tip, if you're trying to do this effect on a person, just film them once in the scene and then film the scene again without the subject in the scene. This will save you having to do all this. Once you've got that, we're just going to press Ctrl-S, and we're going to just save it on our computer. Open back up Photoshop, and we're going to import that photo. So once you've imported that, we're just going to click it, drag it, and drop over our bottom layer. So if we were to hide our top layer, you can see now that when we play, it'll stop and our building will be gone. So just uncheck that. So our next thing we have to do is print out a photo of this layer. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to edit in Adobe, and I'm just going to press File, Print, and I'm just going to make sure that your layout is in landscape, position and size, make sure it's scaled to fit media. Right, so press print. once you've cut out your subject or whatever you want to cut out, let's go over to the scanner. Open up, place this face down in the middle. Now, on our settings, come down, scan to computer, desktop, and as a JPEG. Start scan, and now this should come over onto your computer. Right, so on our computer, as you can see, it's scanning. Once this scan is completed, we're not going to press save yet. We're just going to add another photo so we can do this all in one. Right, so our photos came back perfect, all scanned out. So instead of clicking save, we're going to go back to our scanner and we're going to fold the piece of paper over. So we'll go back to our scanner. Now, once we've got our first scan, we're going to get our photo out again, and we're just going to fold this any way we want. So I'm going to fold it like that, kind of back on itself. Perfect. We're going to just put this back into this. Now it's going to scan again, and it's all going to be added into one file, which is easier to work with. So let that just do its thing. We're going to do this another 2 times just to give it that folding effect. So that's came back now with that fold. So now we're going to go back over to our scanner again and fold it again. This is what you just have to do each time you want to add a fold. So I'm just going to fold this back on itself once again. So I'm going to have it like that. I'm going to put that back in, and we're going to just scan again. So now we're going to just click that plus again. You can do this as many times as you like. The more you do it, the better the effect will be. So keep that in mind. I'm going to do this once more. Then I will have 4 images to work with. Perfect. So now that we have our 4 images, we're done with our printer and our scanner. I'm just going to adjust the brightness and the contrast by about 20 on each of these. So this is just preference. It's not something that you have to do, but it's just something that I like doing. It just brings out the colors a bit more. Right, so once we've done that, we can just press save, and I'm gonna save them in a new folder. All we have to do is just open up Photoshop. I'm just going to drag and drop these 4 photos into Photoshop like that. So we have all of our scans here. So I'm gonna do this one first. I'm going to just image, rotation 90 degrees counterclockwise. I'm gonna come up here to my quick selection tool. You press W, and I'm just going to go along the outside. So some printers will allow you to have a transparent background if you save the file as a PNG. Fortunately, mine doesn't do that, so that's why we have to do this step. So you can just do that. So once you have a good selection of the subject, just press Ctrl C, and we're going to come down here to a new tab, and we're going to press Ctrl V. So now we can delete the first layer, and we have our building cut out. I'm just going to bring this other one into this layer, and I'm just going to do the exact same thing. So now that we have this in here, I'm just going to click it, press Ctrl T. I'm just going to rotate this. So now we just do the same process. We're just going to press W. We're going to come here, and we're just going to do an outline of our fold. Perfect. So Ctrl C, new layer, Ctrl V, and we can just delete that layer. So once we've done that, as you can see, we have our 2 things. We're just gonna line this layer up with that layer. So this just makes it easier when we bring stuff into Premiere. That's looking good. So same again now with our next fold. Drag and drop, press Ctrl T, rotate it, press enter, press W, and let's just go along the outline again. Press Ctrl C, new layer, and Ctrl V. So now we can delete this layer. Now just line it up again. So Ctrl T will let us just rotate. Perfect. And our last fold, bring it in, Ctrl T. This layer doesn't really matter as much because it's completely folded over. So this is more just to give an effect of the paper being completely rolled. So let's press Ctrl C, new layer, Ctrl V, and we delete. Perfect. We can just simply press File, Save As, and we're going to save this as a Photoshop PSD, and you can name it what you want. Come back into Photoshop and we're going to bring in that saved file, so import, and we're just going to bring that building rip into Photoshop. So as you can see here, it says merge all layers. So you want to bring them in as individual layers. So press OK. Now that we have our clips in, they'll be in a folder. We're just going to, for the first clip, we're gonna, of the full building, and bring it on top of our top layer. So we're gonna be deleting this layer, but just to line it up, we're gonna need it, because remember our bottom layer is see-through, so we can't use that as a reference. So we're gonna click our top layer and we're going to reduce the opacity. Just line that up with the bottom clip. So this is something that you could be spending ages doing just to get the right line up, but okay, I think that's as good as I'm gonna be able to get it. Once we have this lined up, we're going to come up here, click motion, and we're gonna press right click and we're gonna copy those settings. So now we're gonna bring our next clip on top and we're going to click motion, right click and paste. So this will bring that exact setting into here. So we can actually delete our second layer now of the building. So we just need to bring up the opacity on this building again. Don't forget to do that. That's something that you might forget. So just delete those keyframes and it should go back to 100. And now let's just do the same again for our other clips. So I'm gonna bring this in, click motion, right click, paste. And for our last rip, we're just gonna bring it in, right click, paste. Perfect. So now we just need to layer these so as if it was an animation. So we're gonna leave our first layer, bring all these down a bit, and because we want the layer to disappear as a fold, once it hits the next layer, bring the back all the way in line with the start of the next layer. Okay, so now you can see the quicker this animation is, the more realistic it looks. I know you put a lot of time into making this and you want to show off how long the animation is, but it makes it look a lot better if you just do a quick animation. So that's what it turns out to look like. So here is a full render out of the clip, and yeah, let me know what you think.
I'm fucking around and drown off this way, doing all these shows. I've been on the road, I don't care where I go, long as I get paid. Bad little vibe, she been on my mind. Soon as I get back, she can stay.
It is cool, but it just takes a lot of time to do. It's something that you kind of like, is it worth the time putting in for the effect? Me personally, I think it is. I think it's really different to what you'd normally have to do just to pull off an effect. So saying that, if you could leave any feedback, what type of video you'd like next, that would be great. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, let me know in the description what you'd like to see next.
Drip too hard, don't stand too close. You gon' fuck around and drown off this way, doing all these shows.